Welcome. This is Beyond the Bar. We're here at the one and only Move Media Studios. Cass.
All right, what's good, G? How you?
Superstar.
He's crazy.
Yeah. We
Right
talking
on.
about your song Tomorrow,
Right.
featuring SZA off your album 24K.
Right.
Producer DJ Dahi.
Yep.
My homegirl just lost her best friend, and she ain't been the same since then. Looking in her eyes, she ain't got no hope. I call her here and there so I can help her cope.
What you drinking, my guy?
What we got, man? What's that?
We got options. We got red wine, brown. Wine good for you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get some wine. While I'm get that, 3 words define you as an artist.
Heartfelt, definitely witty,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna say unorthodox.
Oh, really?
I feel like I got a lot of different styles,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, it makes it where you ain't gonna get the same flow
Mm-hmm.
or like the same kind of like delivery on each joint. I feel like a lot of people ain't able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm taking it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
Yep.
storytelling.
Right.
Storytelling song.
Right.
All right. So these stories that you're telling, they're coming from a personal perspective.
Every last one of the stories are, if it's not actually from somebody that I know, like personally, it's stories that's been told to me from other people as well. And some of them are actually my stories that I make look like it's somebody else's too. You know what I'm saying? So even from like the jump, I say like, my man got Red Hook tatted on his throat. The truth is he had it on his hands.
Right.
And when the video actually dropped, it was on TV, and he was locked up when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Yo, like you know, I was going crazy in there for it." But there's like a lot of different lines or different things that actually bring up, like dice up to paint the picture of being from the bottom, or not even just from the bottom, from where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Red Hook. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So it was important for me to make sure that I showcased not Brooklyn, not New York, you know what I'm saying, not the East Coast. I wanted to like make sure that I delivered solely on Red Hook itself. That was very important for me. So, but yeah, going back into the stories of everything, it's like one of the things that my father did to me when I was growing up was before we would go to bed, he would make me tell him a story before I go to sleep. And that always made my imagination. I do the same thing to my son, where he has to tell me a story so that I could kind of see where his mind is, or what's things that's bothering him, or what's things that he's concerned about, or just keeping him sharp. You know what I'm saying? So as a result, it just spilled over into me as an artist. Like I'd rather make records that you can actually see and feel than just say things that are cool. You know what I'm saying?
How does it feel being that outlet, using your talent to be that outlet?
I mean, I mean, obviously it feels great because like that's who I am. I will say like the problem with it is that might not be the most popular thing to actually be successful though. Right? Like it's two things in this whole thing. It's like, you know, you have to do both. You want to make records that people can just enjoy off rip. It doesn't matter really what the topic is. But then, you know, I would at the same time want to make sure I make these type of records that makes me last forever.
Yeah.
You know, so if somebody tells you something, you'll probably forget. But if you feel something, you'll remember it forever. Yeah.
But
yeah, man.
All right, so we got a lot already.
Right.
Let's talk about the beat.
Yeah.
DJ Dahi.
Yeah, DJ Dahi had produced it. At this time, DJ Dahi had just did Worst Behavior for Drake. And I was able to connect with his A&R. Like his A&R reached out to me. I had just recently dropped War Paint. And I said like it was like a soundtrack for like a lot of kids that was like working at the same time going to college, at the same time me being a kid, you know what I'm saying? So he heard a couple of tracks off of that project, kind of like the buzz that was just kind of going on in the city, and reached out to me and was like, "Yo, I got a beat package for you." And I'm like, "Word!" And this is Schoolboy's A&R as well, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, "Yo, like you know, I got a beat package." So I'm like, "All right, dope." So I got like maybe 10 beats. and ain't none of them was like worst behavior. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just like, damn. Like, so at the time I got a different manager, and you know, we playing the records, and I'm just like, man, like these niggas think that I ain't it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just wasn't really feeling like the beats, or I'm not even gonna say that I wasn't feeling them. It just wasn't at the time worst behavior. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, damn, I kind of was like frustrated about it or whatever. And my manager was like, yo, like, I think that you should rock with this one. Your voice would sound really good on this. So I'm like, all right, let me see exactly what I could talk about. So I sat with it for a little bit, and we weren't in the studio. We just like in the crib, we just kept, you know, playing it. And I was still finishing off the 24K project. So at that time, what I would do is I had multiple producers on that project. So I would start one record, finish another one, double backdoor bridge for another one. So tomorrow we're just kind of in a rotation of it all, where I had a hook before I had the verses. And the reason why that's a big deal for me is because normally I would always have verses first and then the hook. I know that that's backwards, but I always have my verse first. And then they would tell me what exactly I want to do for the hook. But this go, I just had the hook first. Something stuck with me. I was taking a train, and I just remember somebody begging for money like they do on trains. And I was just like, you know, what's more important than money? And that's dreams, right? Like dreams and hopes. And like, so it kind of connected with the beat for some reason. I'm not sure if it was like, I'm not sure if it was like homie's like approach, his outfit, like everything that goes along with him being homeless. But for some reason, it just triggered something to be like, I could spin this. Okay. And then I had the hook, and then eventually I just like wrote the verses. I wrote the second one first, the first one after.
All right. So, well, you mentioned the hook multiple times. Yep. The hook is SZA.
Yep.
Yeah. So, how did that happen?
Yeah. So at this time, SZA used to, when I was doing the war paint shows at SOBs or wherever, she was the homie. She would actually just pull up to shows. I was close with at that time. I believe like her boyfriend, like I was close to him. He used to work over at 10 Deep, and the reason why that's important was because they used to give me like hella clothes from 10 Deep, and whatever I didn't want to wear, I would sell it in the hood. Like, yo, who want this for like $20? And then when I realized that people just wanted to like buy stuff from me, I started selling my own clothes, like, you know what I'm saying? Like selling my own merch, like, but I say that to say, yeah, she used to pull up to shows and just be like, you know, just a fan of it. Like, you know, like just, yo, like, I think that you're amazing. And one time she told me that she sang, like after her, like coming to like 3 or 4 shows. And I'm like, well, all right, cool. Like, yo, let me hear something. And she played me like 3 records, like sent them to me. At this time, like she was just, you know, still very new. She was just shy, but the music was phenomenal. I don't think people could find the records that she did from then, like, cause they were out, they had visuals and everything. But I was like, yo, what, like, yo, we gotta work, we gotta make something happen. And she was like, yeah, like whenever you want to. And I was like, all right, bet. And I still didn't push for a record. Like it kind of just happened naturally. I was going to the studio. I was laying down tomorrow, and as you can see, I'm still like, you can hear me on the hook in pieces. So I did the whole thing in my head going that I was just going to be the one for the hook. And I told her to just pull up to the session. And she came, and I was just like, yo, would you want to sing? Like, would you want to go? And she was like, yeah. So I was like, all right, let's run it. Like, it was just that simple. It wasn't like something where it was like, yo, we had to sit and have a whole like thinking process, and somebody had to like get on the roof and stare at the stars. It was just more so like just homies kind of like kicking it, just being around, because I really don't have a lot of people in sessions with me. I'm not a big fan of that. So if I did have somebody, it was like 1 or 2 people, and you know, she just pulled up and it worked. And
it all genuinely happened. Yeah, you know, it makes the song give that
absolutely
much better
feel.
like,
no, 100%. 100%. Yeah, it wasn't even many takes. It wasn't that type of situation. It was just like, yo, this is a great vibe, and we made it work from there. Yeah, man. So
you said you heard the hook before you put the pen to paper, right?
Yeah.
So once you hear the hook, like, yo, take me through when you started writing.
So I never really like I try to do that now, like as far as just visually being able to see like my lyrics. But like I really never like write things down. Like I just say them a million times until it makes sense.
Okay.
And I say that to say it's all off of feeling. Like now my new thing is I try to go to the studio with at least 10 bars just so that I could say that I have like the general idea. So it's like, you know, like if you got your jacket, you got what jeans you gonna put on, you have a rough idea if you what kind of shirt you gonna put on, it's easy to know what sneakers you gonna go with. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like what I do when I'm laying down records now. But for then, I would just say it a million times. I was paying for studio time, so as a result, like I wasn't trying to waste none of that. Like, you know, and I just said it. I was like riding on the train. It was the same situation. I'd be in the shower. It would be times where I'm just going to the store to go grab something. And that little bit of time, something clicked. In conversations, a lot of times, especially then, if people were talking to me and I was like zoned out, most likely they said something to me that triggered me to finish a verse. And one of the things that's on the second verse was like on the lines of the girl was committing suicide, right? And she didn't want to die alone. And I remember going to my grandparents' house and speaking to my grandfather because him and my grandma, like they old people, right? So they bumping heads. They kind of like going at it, just like old people. So not going at it like, oh, like something crazy. We just like, and she was like, whatever. And she had like walked to the room to go grab something. And then he was just like, you know, I hope that I die first. So I don't know. So I won't know how it feels to be without her. And I spun that to make it into like she ain't want to die alone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she this is why I'm here. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like things like that. I do that like sporadically through all my music where certain things that trigger something and I'm able to place them somewhere else to make them, because that's a real experience, right? So when somebody actually listens to it, they can feel how I felt when I heard something. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I say that like even so, like this by far is not my favorite record. Like this isn't even like a record that I'll tell people to listen to say, yo, like who are you or what are you? Tomorrow isn't that record. Right. The reason why I like this record or the reason why I do play this record is because people don't tell me that, and I never wanted this, people don't tell me that I'm dope for the things that I say. They tell me I'm dope for the way that I make them feel. That's a big deal for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And this record definitely, it's really a lot of feelings. Right. And you could...
I say this, just one last thing. A homie from my hood, a young boy, was going through a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot. And he was contemplating suicide. And he told me that this was a record that he played that made it where he was like, I'm gonna just chill out. Right. And the reason why that was a big deal to me is because I would just pass him by, like I don't live in Reddick anymore, right? So I'll go see my grandmother or whatever, and I bumped into him, and he was in tears telling me this. You know what I'm saying? There's no song of mine that's like just like yo rapping on some like just spazzing or spitting that can ever outweigh something like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I got multiple records that's like that gather a lot of emotions, but to do something like that is like really why I'm doing this. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking on that, and including with the feel, me when I listen to the record, what I really like, and I'm pretty sure the person when he heard it, what really, I guess, attracted him to the record is that usually, of course, when you hear hood records, or records about the hood, it's about money, violence, drugs. Right. Now you taking on a different approach of trauma that happens that doesn't include any of that. And right. It feels so much more real.
Well, the crazy thing is that those things are mentioned, but they're not being praised, right? Yes. So that's the spin of it. Like, you know, it's not, I mean, it's everybody has their own reality to their stories or their truth to their stories. But I am mentioning those things, all three of those things actually. Like, you know, suicide is a form of violence, right? Money, but the lack of it, right? And then drugs and using it in order to get by what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So instead of spinning it like, yeah, again, it's a place of like, let's kind of like see what's going on here. Like, let's see really what's happening here. Like, it's hope for the hopeless, or at least talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, especially as, and I don't want it to be that, but especially as Black people, one thing that we do is like suppress a lot of things. Like we'll try to like pretend like it doesn't exist.
Right.
And indulge in things to like kind of like just stop the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to make certain records that actually brings them up so that you could deal with them head on instead of hiding from them. You know what I'm saying?
Whew. Oh man.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk about a line from the record, right?
Okay.
We can elaborate into that, right?
Okay.
The line goes.
Do you have a dream I could borrow till tomorrow? Till tomorrow. Do you have a dream I could borrow till tomorrow? Till tomorrow.
With this line, what I interpret it as, that I'm going through so much right now, and I need something to give me hope to want to keep going on to tomorrow. So like, yo, can I borrow your dream?
Right.
Can I borrow your hope? Just so I can at least make it to tomorrow.
Right. If that's what you got, then that's what it was. Like, you know what I'm saying? No, like, to be honest with you, it's like again, like the dream taking over money, right? So a lot of times, like, people like, look, bro, let me hold the 100 until tomorrow. As soon as I got it, my check gonna clear, and I'm gonna give it back to you.
Word.
And normally, what happens is that people don't pay you back. But the dream being more important than money, where it's like, yeah, like I'm having a rough time. I need your inspiration. I need your dream. I need your hope right now because I'm down. I'm out of hope right now. You know what I'm saying? Can I borrow yours until tomorrow and possibly not giving it back to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? But at least it's enough to like keep going on, right? Yeah. So just from a Vegas, again, like the hope for the hopeless, like it was that kind of form, but that's the plan. Like it was just the same thing that you would do with paper, the same thing that you would do with money, like somebody shaking a can and saying like, look, please, our aunt that's begging for money, look, can I please just get $1? Let me get the same thing is for this dream, right? Yeah. Like sometimes people just don't have it. Right. You know?
Yeah, it's great because like, of course, dreams could be interpreted as like anything. Like for me, it might be hope. Like whenever I might be going through, I might need hope for tomorrow.
Right.
Next person might be money. Next person might be food. Next person might be just like clothes on my back.
Like, yeah. It just depends. So I mean, it really just swaps out to whatever. But I just felt like when you don't generalize it, if I say money, that's only to a certain amount of people. Yeah. Even as a dreamer, you still need dreams. You know what I'm saying? Like even as, you know, like even as somebody who has hope and inspiration and is in a good space, you still need more of it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's some people that, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's some people like, yo, it's a millionaire that's like, I don't need that $1. Like I'd rather do this over here. But everybody needs hope. Yeah. You know, so I just wanted to make it with, especially for, like I said, like from where I'm from, that's what's needed the most. There's a lot of times where, like we figure like, we know how to work the system to get what we need to get by. That's not always the problem. Sometimes the problem itself is just the inspiration and the motivation.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I got one more for you. Yeah. You finished the song, right? Yeah. SZA on, DJ Dahi. Yeah. Laid your verses, got your inspiration, taking train rides.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Got it all together, right? Yeah. You're telling these stories. Not how do you feel about the final product, but the people whose stories you're telling, right? Yeah. How did they feel when they heard the song?
So that was the most important part, right? Because I didn't know how much the song meant until they heard it. You know what I'm saying? Like I listened to it and I was like, yo, this is a dope cut. Like this is something like, it felt good laying, but it didn't mean anything until I actually like let people hear it or when it actually came out. At this time, to be real with you, SZA had just got signed to TDE and she wasn't the big deal that she is right now, right? Like she was still going through her process of being a new artist too. So that was beautiful because it's not like people like the record because of her so much. Sometimes that can sway your vote or can sway you on what a good record is just by saying who's associated with it, right? But it meant the world to me, like I said, like for these situations where people are like, I had to listen to this to get up and go. another spin on it is, if you're singing the hook, "Do you have a dream I could borrow?" The record is that, right? Like, it's giving you what you actually needed. It's like all these things that's kind of like going on, but it's like, yo, like, even with all the drama that's happening, all the things, I never really closed out the story to say that there was like a happy ending. I didn't, because it ain't one. Right. For all of us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to be sad, like, it's not like, oh yeah, all right, cool, now we good. It's like, nah, it's an ongoing situation. So that's kind of how I left the record. But when everybody picked it up and they heard it, and just like how I was able to affect lives that way, it was the greatest feeling in the world. That's why you do it. Yeah, like, that's why you do it. Like, I feel like any artist, the reason why they do it is not to be like, it's for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and before getting paid, like, you just want to make sure that you're able to affect people the most that you possibly can. Right. You know? So yeah. Whew. Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Oh man, that's how you make a record. That's how you get to the people.
Right.
This is Beyond the Bar.
Today is nothing like tomorrow. I just really wanna run away, so I can escape my sorrow. But do you have a dream I could borrow? Till tomorrow, till tomorrow. Do you have a dream I could borrow? Till tomorrow, till tomorrow.
Living in the city with no fucking hope. We either writing rhymes or we slinging dough. My homeboy got red hook tatted all on his throat. Ain't got 5 for the bus, but he got 5 to smoke. My other homie said that he living in hell, and where he's headed, he'll end up either dead or in jail. Ain't it crazy how these always look like prison cells? And if these wolves could talk, man, they would never tell. I know this little girl who says she don't believe in fairy tales. Her mama in the hospital ain't looking very well. I wish her well. She wish me luck, living in the free world, but I be feeling stuck. My homeboy Shaq said put Red Hook on the map, and if you make it out, don't ever look back. I wish him well, he wish me luck, cause where I'm from, niggas don't care about us.
It's nothing like tomorrow. I just really wanna run away, so I can escape my sorrow. But do you have a dream I could borrow? Tomorrow, till tomorrow. Do you have a dream I could borrow? Till tomorrow, till tomorrow.
My homegirl just lost her best friend, and she ain't been the same since then. Looking in her eyes, she ain't got no hope. I call her here and there so I can help her cope. But now she drank, and now she smoke. Her pops worried that one day she gon' overdose. I wish her well, I wish her well. She's searching for some change inside her, wishing well. Her mama told her get over it, you can't cry for your whole life. She says she should die without a best friend, there's no life. There's no light, she wishing they could trade places, so a friend could live out all of her life stages. She slit her wrist right before she hit my phone. She said, Chris, I just didn't wanna die alone. I wish her well, I wish her well, I wish her well, I just wish her well.
It's nothing like tomorrow. I just really wanna run away, so I can escape my sorrow. But do you have a dream I could borrow? Till tomorrow, till tomorrow. Do you have a dream I could borrow? Till tomorrow, till tomorrow. I just pray that today I just really wanna run away. But do you have a dream I could borrow? Till tomorrow. Do you have a dream I could borrow? Till tomorrow, yeah.